The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
BronxNet. Your voice, your views, your vision.
And hello and welcome to Open, the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm your host, Darren Jaime, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our community, as well as also around the world. Coming up on today's show, we'll have the results of New York City's elections. Then November is also American Diabetes Month. We'll talk to a specialist from Montefiore about some events that you can catch up with that are coming up this month. Then after that, we'll sit down with two political strategists to discuss the results of yesterday's election. And we'll also find out how you can apply for grants to better your neighborhood as well as your community. And finally, you'll learn how to become more involved in the upcoming holiday season. So stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way, because right now, we're officially open. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Darren Jaime, and today is Wednesday, November 6, 2013. Of course, you're watching Open, the only live and interactive program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. We want to encourage you to stay connected to us. You can find out about us on Twitter at BronxNet TV and Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. And if you get connected to us, we certainly will connect with you. Well, Election Day was yesterday, and there were some surprises and some not so surprises. If you're a Democrat, it was pretty much good news. Here are the winners for the mayor's race. It was Bill de Blasio on top with 73.3% over Joe Loda's 24.3%. Now, the seat for comptroller went to Scott Stringer with 80% of the votes over Republican John Burnett. The new public advocate will be Democrat Letitia James. And for the borough president, winners in the Democratic Party, I should say, were Eric Adams in Brooklyn. Here in the borough of the Bronx, Democrat Ruben Diaz Jr. once again won the seat. Democrat Gail Brewer in Manhattan, and Republican James Otto in Staten Island. And finally, the winners for the city council in the Bronx. If we turn to District number 8, Melissa Mark Viverito. District number 11, Andrew Cohen. District 12, Andy King. District 13, James Vaca. District 14, Fernando Cabrera. District 15, Richie Torres. District 16, Vanessa Gibson. District 17, Maria del Carmen Arroyo. And District 17, Annabelle Palma. And those are the winners of yesterday's election. We encourage you to stay tuned to BronxNet to find out more as we go in depth with the results of yesterday's election and exactly what that means coming up in the future. Well, we do have to take a quick break, but first, Savor the Bronx is back for its third year, and our BronxNet correspondent, Jesse Paula, was on hand to kick off to tell us what we can expect this year.
Today is the kickoff Savor the Bronx Restaurant Week, a week where we get to taste the best of the Bronx, highlighting why the Bronx is called international.
Ruben Diaz Jr., the Bronx Tourism Council, restaurants and organizations across the Bronx are coming together to show that the Bronx is a destination that has everything.
Inviting people to come in and savor the flavors of the Bronx. We've got dozens of restaurants that are participating in Restaurant Week, diverse restaurants. We've got Latin food, we've got Italian, we've got different types of cuisines all over the borough. And we're inviting people to come and participate and enjoy the flavors of the Bronx at an affordable price.
We have so many great restaurants. We don't want our people from the Bronx to go outside the Bronx. We really want them to stay here and build our restaurant business.
From Italian cuisine in Little Italy to seafood in City Island and everywhere in between, Savor the Bronx offers everyone a chance to enjoy the diverse flavor our borough has to offer.
There's so many things that we're known for here in the borough. We're also known for our cuisine. And the fact that we're so diverse, the fact that we have wonderful restaurants that compete with the best of them. So today we are at Jake's Steakhouse.
We want to promote the Bronx. It happens that the Bronx has the best restaurants of any borough in the city and beyond.
There's culinary opportunities in the Bronx that are not on your radar, perhaps, but they should be. And Savor the Bronx raises awareness about them. So the borough president is out there and showcasing these great restaurants in the Bronx across our borough of 1.4 million people in this great city. There are places to eat, to enjoy, and to share. And that's why we savor the Bronx.
The Bronx will be having 2 weeks full of diversity and different flavors, designed for everyone to come and enjoy.
Reporting from BronxNet, Halsey Paula.
Sounds like fun had by all. Well, switching fronts now, with the alarming rates of childhood obesity and diabetes in the city, specifically right here in the Bronx, Montefiore is observing November as American Diabetes Month with their focus on youth theme. To talk more about the events coming up this month is Montefiore's Director of Clinical Diabetes, Dr. Rita Lord. And we thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you for having me.
Good. So we got past Election Day. We know that's the big thing.
Did.
But now it's Diabetes Month.
Right. And in fact, we got past Halloween.
That's true.
Right. So one of the events that we had this month was a kickoff event about candy. And so kids were able to bring in their candy and get toys and learn about diabetes. Mm-hmm. So over the course of this month, we're going to be doing more and more activities, looking at healthy food choices, looking at exercise, helping children live healthier lives and hopefully prevent them from either getting diabetes or help them in the management of diabetes.
So this is Diabetes Awareness Month. So for somebody who may not be familiar with diabetes, can you give us a little bit of background exactly to what diabetes is?
So diabetes is a disease in which blood sugars rise, and with the elevation of blood sugars, we have complications. These complications can be eye disease, kidney disease, nerve damage. Our goal in the Clinical Diabetes Center is to reduce the rates of these complications and to help our patients, both adults and children, live healthy, productive lives. So this month, we get to focus on diabetes activities, including food demonstrations and activities related to exercise for our kids with diabetes.
When we hear about diabetes, most commonly we hear type 1 diabetes, we hear type 2 diabetes. Now, there's a difference between type 1 and type 2. For somebody who's not so familiar, what's the difference?
So type 2 diabetes is the more common type of diabetes. It's related to two different factors. One is that people, as they gain weight, and sometimes as they get older, lose the ability to respond to insulin well, and therefore their blood sugars may rise. People with type 1 diabetes, and this really affects children a little bit more than the type 2. Type 1 diabetes, those cells that make insulin get destroyed. And so the only way we have for treating type 1 is to actually give them the insulin that their body no longer makes.
When we talk about kids and diabetes, of course, it's a hard match, kids, diabetes.
Yeah.
Are we seeing rising numbers of kids contracting diabetes?
We are. We're seeing rising numbers of children developing type 2, and for decades, kids never got type 2, right? This is something that we usually saw in adults with diabetes. So we're seeing rising numbers of children being affected by both type 1 and type 2 diabetes.
When we know about diabetes, we know that it's a preventable thing too, in some ways, huh?
So type 1, not so much, but type 2, yes, we do have things that we can do, and we can start early to prevent the incidence of type 2 diabetes. So healthy eating, not meaning that you give up everything, but you really do focus on those fruits and vegetables a little bit more than the carbohydrates. Keeping your weight down can be very helpful, and clearly exercise is one of the key ways that we can prevent type 2 from developing.
So if I got a young person who's watching and they're talking about candy, they can still do candy.
They can still do candy, just not a lot.
Just not a lot. All right.
Not a lot, a little bit.
So what's on board at Montefiore? If somebody walks in, they're challenged with the, with the health challenge of diabetes. They walk in. What's available to them?
So we have many different programs for people with diabetes, both in the pediatric world and in the adults. We have clinics and practices that focus exclusively on diabetes. We have educational programs that are really helping people manage their disease better. We have nutritionists who are trying to help everyone eat healthier. So there are an array of services at Montefiore that I want people to take advantage of. And I have to show you my coloring book.
Yeah, show me the coloring book.
Okay. I want to show you my coloring book. So this is one of the ways that we wanted to bring that healthy message to children, that eating healthy doesn't have to be onerous. It can be something that can be fun. And so this coloring book I love. Sorry.
There you go. That's the beautiful book.
It's a beautiful book.
Now, when you talk about treatment, because a lot of people fear even going to the doctor based on treatment call. You know, I don't want to die, I don't want needles, I don't want this, I want that, I want that. But when you have diabetes, what are the ways that you can be treated for someone who's...
So people with type 2 diabetes have many more options, right? We have the diet and exercise as a cornerstone for both type 1 and type 2, but we also have different medications as well as insulin. And the field in terms of medical treatment of type 2 has expanded dramatically. We have many more options for helping people get to their goals. So do not be afraid. Come in and see us.
Warning signs.
Warning signs can be going to the bathroom a lot, feeling real thirsty. Sometimes people can feel very tired from those high blood sugars. So any of those things, blurred vision, all of those can be signs of diabetes. And what we're recommending is that not only do people not wait for those warning signs, but they actually come in and get attention earlier. So there are blood tests that we can do that can show us what their risk for diabetes is and whether they're actually at the point where we make the diagnosis of diabetes.
You got some events happening this month.
I do.
Talk to me about the events. Yes.
I do. So one of the things I want to focus on Monday, November 25th, we have a lecture for people who not only may not have diabetes, but may have other medical issues, high blood pressure, heart disease. This lecture is called Turning Around the Titanic, and what we're trying to focus on are healthy ways to eat to prevent some of these diseases. And that's going to be by Dr. Osveld, one of our cardiologists, and it will be at Montefiore on Monday, November 25th. If they need any more information, they can contact our website, www.montefiore.org.
Here in our borough, what kind of numbers are we seeing in regards to people being affected by diabetes?
So unfortunately, the Bronx has one of the highest rates of diabetes in the 5 boroughs. Our rates are about 12-13% of our people in the Bronx have diabetes. So that's one of the reasons that we really want to focus on not only the prevention, but getting people into treatment early.
Any reason why we're seeing these high numbers?
So there's been a lot of research about this. I think some of it is the growing rates of obesity that we see, not only in the Bronx, but, you know, nationwide. The other thing is people aren't as active, right? You know, we have many things that we can do that don't really require walking. And so those two things are probably the two big reasons for the increased rates of diabetes.
Earlier, you gave us some steps to do in terms of exercise and eating healthy and stuff of that nature. Apply that to children as well. Same rules apply?
Same rules apply. I mean, I think kids should be active, right? I think, you know, I love those little games, but I think running is a good thing. I think walking is a good thing. I think playing is a good thing. And how we encourage children to be more active is going to make a big difference in terms of the rates of diabetes going forward.
So if people want more information, what do they do?
They contact Montefiore at that montefiore.org. We have a diabetes page that will have all the activities for the month, but we also have other services that they can learn about when they go to the website.
As far as diabetes is concerned, so many people are adversely affected. They feel as though, you know, some people feel like, I can't get away from this. I can't overcome it. True, not true?
Not true. I've had so many patients who have taken charge of their diabetes, right? They have actually done the thing. They've walked more. They're eating healthy. They feel better. And so this whole thing that, you know, it's inevitable is not true. And the other thing that when you have it, bad things are going to happen is not true. I think this may be an opportunity for many people to make those healthier choices that have long-term ramifications. So, yes. We can do something good about this disease.
That's right. Any other stereotypes that come along with diabetes that we can kind of debunk the myth?
Okay, stereotypes that come along. So one of the things I want people to think about is that they can make a difference, right? They can make a difference early in terms of prevention. I think they can make a difference when they develop the disease. I think denial is one of the things I want people to really work hard to avoid, because accepting it and actually accepting the challenges makes a big difference.
All righty. Well, Dr. Rita Luard, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us.
Thank you.
Best wishes to you during this month. As we
thank you.
said, it's Diabetes Month, and you get out to Montefiore, you can find out more information about exactly all the programs and services that Montefiore has to offer, particularly in the area of diabetes. And most of all, read the information, because you never know how helpful it can be for yourself as well as your family. Dr. Luard, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us.
Thank you.
All right, got to take a quick break, but guess what? When we return, we're going to discuss the results of yesterday's election, how it will affect you, with two political analysts. We encourage you to stay right here. We're coming right back right after this.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Look at me. Hey.
Raymond, look at Mommy.
Maybe the light hurts his eyes.
Maybe she's just not hungry. Maybe he can't hear us. Maybe we're not stimulating him enough. Maybe it's a phase.
Avoiding eye contact is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
All right, give me a spot. You know my motto, safety first.
They could be dangerous. I think we should call animal control.
Animal control?
To be safe.
Don't worry.
Just...
I got this. It's a new motto.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
And we're back here on Open. Darren Jaime here with you. Our next guests have made their opinions known and their voices heard in the political arena as both political bloggers and activists, respectively. Here to discuss the results of yesterday's election are Brian Ogilvie from DoTheKnowledge.com and Corey Ortega, president of the West Harlem Progressive Democratic Club. And gentlemen, we welcome you to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for the honor.
So it's the morning after, and we have a new mayor, Bill de Blasio. Some people were thinking that Mr. de Blasio wouldn't even make it this far.
Yeah.
Yet and still, he's the new mayor. First of all, are you surprised by the fact we knew that going into that, you know, there was the final election, but were you surprised that even he made it this far?
No, not at all. I've spoken to him a couple of times, and his vision, his way of articulating and connecting with the populace, I think, was the strongest out of all the Democrats initially. So it's not surprising at all that he came through in the end and delivered the victory for his camp.
Corey, you had a different take on it?
Yeah, I was actually surprised. His message was really drowned out by the other candidates. It wasn't until a turn in the campaign when he related with stop and frisk in his own family that his message came forward and then drowned out everyone else.
That was the tipping point to you?
That was the tipping point. He had a lot of good points, but so did everyone else. And then you also have the political machine who's backing Bill Thompson versus everyone else. So if you were in this, you'd say, okay, things are looking good for Bill Thompson. You see the other players in the game. But once that tipping point went, that message that he had, and he has a great team.
Yes.
And what you didn't notice is that until that message came forward, you didn't notice really the team that he had together. Once that message came through, it was his platform, and he continued to build off of that, and then continue saying the same things, income inequality, tale of two cities. But now people were listening, and it made sense.
Right.
Yes.
Commercial was the clincher? Bill de Blasio's commercial, the clincher, having his son out there, African American.
Yes.
Do you think that was a
He
clincher?
definitely took advantage of that well and strategically. Yes.
In my case, the way I see it, if I'm African American, if I'm Latino, if I'm anything minority, and I see that Bill de Blasio says, I'm not going to allow stop and frisk, look at my family.
Right.
And then you say, I believe him. I believe that he will not allow stop and frisk to come to his doorstep, which means he's not going to allow it for me. And that message, when you believe the campaign message in terms of hope with Obama, when you believe it, you're hooked, you're synced. You're going to vote for the guy.
We're going to see a lot of change in the city council as well. A lot of
Yes.
seats, open seats coming. How's this going to work for the city, given the fact that you're going to have all of these guys who are coming in, and ladies, excuse me, all these guys and ladies who will now be taking city council seats for the very first time, and a new mayor. Is this very indicative of the fact that we can expect a huge change in city government?
Oh, most definitely. I think you have a big paradigm shift coming. My associates and I talk about the progressive promise. What I mean is that with Bill de Blasio, with Democrats as a whole usually, you get a lot of talk and discussion in the initial phases about promises, as far as his promises with education reform, stop and frisk reform. Also, we were talking about unionizing and what have you. So he has a big plate in front of him. Now, traditionally with Republican and independent mayors in the West Wing of City Hall, you have what you can say a sort of a conflict or a tension that brought a lot of the resolutions forth. A lot of analysts think that the value or the solutions that were derived, some of the things that happened, came as a result of that antagonism. And now with a primarily or wholly Democratic City Hall, we're going to have to see, will he be too much of a yes man? Will he too much of a, how will he deliver some of the promises explained in his campaigning?
The way that I would look at this is the barriers of communications aren't there anymore. So now we have progressive and mostly Democratic city council, new speaker coming in play, and now Democratic mayor. The conversations will be had and openly and accepted.
Yeah.
But now, how do we execute?
Exactly.
Now we're not on the campaign trail. It's not rhetoric. It's not wishful thinking.
Yeah.
Now you have to show the people, I said I'm going to do ABC, execute. Now, how do you do that with everyone in the room and make sure that actually happens?
Will he be able to accomplish that, given the fact that some people said that New York is quote-unquote Republican out, independent out through the
last
Bloomberg
20
administration?
years, yep.
Given the fact that you have this fresh wind and you have these people coming in, do you think that with his agenda the way that it is, new people in place, that he's going to be able to push this agenda through? Because we look at Washington and we see what happened with President Obama and his administration. Does it play out the same way on the local level?
I say it's going to be touch and go.
Yeah.
He'll push a couple, and then he'll hit a wall eventually. No one gets everything they want on the wish list, especially in politics.
Yeah.
You're not going to please everyone, but you try your best, and I believe he's in a better position than his predecessors.
Most definitely. Same here. I follow through. With Democratic whole, like you said, the communication is open, and we have to see, will he follow through with everything? People are watching. People are hopeful. People are driven. They're open to him. They're open to his message. And so now the delivery is on him and the pressure is on him. He'll have to take it phase by phase. He'll have to phase himself through and gradually deliver over time.
Any surprises yesterday to you?
No.
No,
landslide.
sorry.
Really? I got two guys who said no.
One thing I was surprised was that his entire volunteer network was strictly volunteers.
We were talking
I
about
just
that.
learned this recently. No one doing his campaigning on the grassroots level were paid. And that built up a momentum on its own. That shows you how much New York is ready, how much New York is hungry for a message that relates to lower and middle class people. So we're very interested in
And there's also another flip point to that side is how you want to be perceived going forward.
Yeah.
So we were talking backstage and we were saying, okay, a lot of boots on the ground were volunteer.
Yeah.
And before that, everyone was volunteering for about a month and a half. So Bill de Blasio would say, one more day won't hurt. If you believe in my message, if you believe in the community that you care about, one day won't hurt.
Yes.
But that sets the stage going forward because with most Democratic clubs, we're used to the paradigm where on the day of election, maybe $100, maybe $120 to work a lot of hours from 5 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
But now he's changing that and saying, listen, if you believe, if you're a Democratic club, if you believe in the process, then show me, volunteer.
Yep.
And we did.
And we did. We'll take a quick break, and coming up after the break, we'll continue more with our conversation with these two gentlemen talking about the results from yesterday's election. We'll break it down more right here on Open.
NFC, AFC, offensive linemen, defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and cornerbacks are all working with United Way for a million little reasons. The kids of our communities, to ensure their academic success all the way to graduation day. See, it takes about 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a kid becoming one or the other could be a professional athlete, or it could be you. Studies showed the earlier we get to kids, the better their chances. So become a United Way volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor, and make a difference in the life of a child, for the life of that child. Give.
Advocate.
Volunteer. Live united. Join your favorite NFL players. Take the pledge. Go to unitedway.org.
Long before I was in Hollywood, I had a grandmother by the name of Estelle Marie Taylor. Positive role models to make sure that I was on the straight path. Big Brothers Big Sisters carefully screens volunteers and places them in long-term mentoring matches with kids who face adversity. With more volunteers, especially men, and more donations, every little who needs a big can have it. Start something. If it's been a while since you've been involved, start something again. Learn more at BigBrothersBigSisters.org.
Back here on Open, Darren Jaime here with you, continuing our conversation with both Brian Ogilvie as well as Corey Ortega, talking about yesterday's elections. And the gentleman, we were talking before a little bit about any surprises. The question was no. But we now move to the issue of unions and how big that is playing out.
Yes.
That's pretty much going to be one of the most important issues going forward. You have unions that did their work. They showed up to work, they did what they were supposed to, and now, like anyone in labor movement, I expect my due. Yeah, I deserve. I worked for it. So, but now you're in a situation where if you borrow money to pay the unions, you're going to put the city in a financial strain. And if you don't pay the unions and you don't come to any type of deal, then you're going to have a backlash.
Yeah.
And coming into a honeymoon stage where the first Democratic mayor in about 20 years, you don't want that on your plate.
No.
You don't want to go in your first 100 days with the unions already taking you to the
back.
woodshed. No.
That's too much of a hassle. That's too much on his plate. Like we were saying, there are no such thing as solutions.
Mm-mm.
There are only trade-offs. So on one end, he has the unions he has to take care of, and then on the other, he has discretionary spending and budget issues that he'll have to worry about as well. So it's interesting to see how it play forth through that dynamic.
What do you think we're going to see first going into office? What's going to be the first priority you think on the part of Bill de Blasio, Mayor de Blasio?
I would say
Stop and frisk. I think that's
Really?
the easiest one.
Stop and frisk. I would say the transition team, the team that he needs to execute any other issue. He's going to need the best financier person that can come. Yeah, I said the Justice League of operatives, because you're going to have to get really crafty with the unions and set up some type of deal where you don't strain the financial system of the city, but at the same time doing right by the people that help us run the city every day. Then you have stop and frisk. Okay, who's your commissioner going to be? And then every other issue, income equality, then social services. It's the team you put in place that will really dictate the yardsticks and how you move forward.
Interesting.
It's less than a day, but what are the names that we're hearing in regards to possible people that could be on the de Blasio team to advance the ball forward? Are we hearing any names strongly?
Yeah, I haven't.
No. I mean, there have been rumors just locally. So I would speak for West Harlem, Washington Heights, people that have gone with de Blasio early on, but nothing set in stone.
Yeah.
And he had some support early on in your area.
Yeah, in my area, he had District Leader Marisol Alcantara, he had Senator Bill Perkins, Councilwoman Melissa Mark Viverito, who won her seat even though it was in the Bronx, showing her strength. And those were people that even after when we were conducting meetings on how to canvass, where we're going to do phone banking, they were part of the leadership team. So you could see that, you know, they're going to have a voice in this administration, if any.
Very powerful.
With this Democratic sweep that we saw yesterday, what do you think the message is sent by New York voters?
That we're sick and we're ready for a big change. I mean, de Blasio won, let's face it, off an anti-Bloomberg ethos within his campaigning. And I think that resonates just disproportionately throughout all ages, all income brackets, both genders, and so on. In fact, I think this is the first election in I don't know how long in which the Democratic nominee won every single demographic, specifically down the line, I read somewhere. So it's interesting. He's lined up, like you said, the honeymoon stage. He's lined up with the people, and I think it represents just a more progressive, and Tish said this too, Tish James. She said that this is a revolutionary, or I guess a very significant standpoint in New York history, because it's the first time in a long time in which progressive ideals are what won the debate specifically. So, very interesting.
I would say, call me fool, I believe in democracy.
Right.
I believe that the people have the power, and I'll compare that and reference that to Obama. When he first started, he said, we don't want 8 more years.
Yeah.
We want something different. The people have spoke, clearly.
That's right.
And the people have the power to say, you know what? Yeah, we tried this out for 20 years. We voted the guy in legitimately. Okay, that's what we wanted. Now, the scales have changed. We want change, and we want to see what a Democratic mayor can bring to the city. And in 4 years, if he does well, he'll be reelected.
Do you think New York has bought into the fact of that tale of two cities? Because that's what we heard. We heard that there's
that's
a tale
a perfect.
of two cities. Do you think that New
that
York
was
really bought
that
into
was
it?
such a brilliant, and as a writer, I commend that whole concept. It's Charles Dickens, The Tale of Two Cities. And that's how everyone from Southeast Queens to, I'm sure, north in the Bronx to Staten Island, that they're secondary citizens. And speaking to that angst, speaking to that emotional or that philosophical, I guess, disorientation people have from being within the crown jewel of Manhattan proper was the key turning point.
I say it strikes a chord on both sides.
Yes.
If your income is below $45,000, you say, yeah, that's definitely a tale of two cities. Because I still got to tell and pay the rent. And then the gentleman who's making over $500,000, he's saying, yeah, that's not true, but, you know, I live downtown on Madison Avenue looking down.
Right.
Like, yeah, maybe he's, you know, he's onto something.
Right.
But there's definitely a tale of two cities. This is the first mayor where I see he's using government to say the government is by the people for the people.
Right.
So why don't we help those that need help?
Need it.
We have social services already. We have HRA, public assistance. We're not reinventing the wheel.
Right.
We're just clearly stating, you know what? We have to do more.
Right.
Because maybe this isn't enough.
We still have a current mayor who has a couple more months left in office. What can we expect in the last 2 months from Mayor Bloomberg?
I say he'll push anything that's left
That
on
he
the
can-
table.
yeah, he can do.
Yeah, they can do. I know he's big in real estate. You know, whether he has friends or not, and they're influential. If you see any type of new funding or subsidies or tax credits, anything of that sort that comes out in the next month or two, yeah, he's just trying to put. Yeah, don't be surprised.
Unless he's too busy in Colorado. Yeah.
So that's about it.
As far as where he goes from here, Mayor Bloomberg, and what do you think? He's just going to go off into the quiet? Do you think he's going to continue on the political? Because literally after Mayor Giuliani, well, given 9/11 took place, he became a voice for the party. He became paraded across America.
Right.
Do we see Mayor Bloomberg slipping off the scene, or do we see him really becoming more active in a different kind of political role?
I definitely say more active in a different role.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say he would be the voice of any one party, because he's shown to be very independent. I may not agree with all of his stance, all of his decisions, but the one thing I do like about Mayor Bloomberg, when he says, this is what I believe in,
he sticks by
He sticks by it. He has one face. Politics, we say one thing, we do another, but he's very independent, and we've seen that he started a lot of different PACs to support not only Democrats but Republicans where he sees fit. That's how the political system is supposed to be. I'm not going to go just for party lines. I'm going to go with the person who's going to bring the best back to the party and do right by the community.
There we go.
All right. Well, Corey Oteg is the president of the West Harlem Progressive Democratic Club, and also we've got Brian Ogilvie, who's the also the blogger for DoTheKnowledge.com, but also has a book. He's the author of How to Conquer Yourself, Discipline and Willpower for the Conscious, Creative Thinker. And so we thank them both for coming and sharing. You've caused us to think. And we'll be bringing you back so that way you can give us a little bit more as we get closer to the new mayor sitting in.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, got to take a quick break, but guess what? Coming up after the break, we're going to learn how you can apply for grants to improve your community. So stay tuned because that's coming up next when we return. Don't go anywhere. Money's on the table.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Barry, time is running out. According to my calculations, 1 in 5 kids in America struggles with hunger. How can so many children face hunger when there's more than enough food to feed them all? You're right, Barry. We can help solve hunger by teaming up with Feeding America to get food to hungry kids in communities across the country.
Help Flint and the Feeding America network of food banks get food to the people who need it in your community. Find your local Feeding America food bank at feedingamerica.org/hunger.
Together, we're Feeding America.
A single ember from a wildfire can travel over a mile. That ember can ignite and destroy your home or community. You can't control where that ember will land. Only what happens before it does. Visit fireadapted.org to learn how you can help protect your community from wildfires.
Live with a human for a while, and you get to know a few things. Like, I know she does strange tricks for no treats. But the one thing I will never, for the life of me, know is how she gets so tiny and inside that box. Natalie, how do you get so tiny?
Long before I was in Hollywood, I had a grandmother by the name of Estelle Marie Taylor. Positive role models to make sure that I was on the straight path. Big Brothers Big Sisters carefully screens volunteers and places them in long-term mentoring matches with kids who face adversity. With more volunteers, especially men, and more donations, every little who needs a big can have it. Start something. If it's been a while since you've been involved, start something again. Learn more at bigbrothersbigsisters.org.
And we're back here on Open. Darren Jaime here with you. Neighborhood Grants is a program sponsored by the citizen community, which awards micro-grants of up to $3,000 to resident-led groups for community improvement. And here now to tell us more about this wonderful opportunity is Program Outreach Coordinator Wilfredo Florentino, and we welcome you to the show.
Thank you so much.
We hear so many times that money is not available, and here you are sitting here telling us that money is available for the neighborhood. So why don't we first talk about what exactly this neighborhood grant is about?
So just to backtrack a little bit, Citizens Committee has been around for almost 40 years doing the same type of work, which is that we support volunteer-led grassroots groups that have identified an issue in their community and they want to address it. From your local block association to your tenant association to groups that see, lack of opportunities for youth, that see food access as being a concern in their community. They want to come together, and then we, through our grant programs, we support those types of groups.
And so you support these groups and you give them some resources to be able to do that. So these are considered neighborhood grants. Now, what is the criteria for somebody to be able to receive a neighborhood grant?
So basically, as long as individuals just come together and submit a proposal for a grant, they could potentially receive an award. What we focus on is really the grassroots component of the work. So as long as individuals come together, have identified a concern, and very clearly state their need, they could potentially be supported with a grant of up to $3,000. The process is really fairly straightforward and fairly simple.
Walk us through the process.
So our upcoming grant deadline is January 27th. There is a grant application that can be found online through citizensnyc.org. We also offer a series of grant application workshops. So it's not as though we give you the application and we just send you off, but we offer you some support services to fill out that application. In fact, we have a a grant application information session on Tuesday, January 7th at the Kingsbridge Library, where we will go through step by step what the components are for the application. And again, the deadline is January 27th, and we render our decisions sometime in the early April timeframe.
Who's actually eligible to apply? Community-based organizations, grassroots organizations, not-for-profits, faith-based organizations, who?
So we have very little actual hard criteria for those types of groups, but the criteria are that the groups do not have any paid staff, so they have to be volunteer-led, and also that the organization has an annual budget of less than $40,000. So it's really for those nascent grassroots groups in our communities.
What kind of groups have you funded in the past?
Oh, wow. In our 40-year history, you name it, and we've probably supported groups that are working in all different sectors. Again, from your block association, tenant associations, community gardens, groups that are mentoring youth, groups that are focused on the ills that plague our communities. We would support all these types of groups.
Where does your money come from?
So we are. Unlike a foundation, we have to fundraise every single year, and we have a phenomenal fundraising team that fundraises every single year. And this year, we are slated to support even more groups than we did last year. Between years 2011 and 2012, we more than doubled the groups that we supported. We supported almost 1,000 groups with more than $8 million last year.
$8 million. So the opportunity is out there for you if you want to take advantage of it. We want to get the information to you, get it in your hands, or get you to get to the computer so that way you can be able to get it. And so, Wilfredo, let's give people that information again. What's the beginning steps for them?
Okay, so the first step is to go to citizensnyc.org. That is our website, and that would be a really good starting point for individuals that are interested.
Okay, and then you go from there, and then you fill out the information on the computer, and there you go. Now, the highest grant award is about?
$3,000 is our maximum grant.
Right, and you said your organization pretty much has to be, what, $40,000? You have to have $40,000?
$40,000 or less is the annual budget of the organization, and the organization should not have any paid staff.
All right, now, if you heard that, then you need to go ahead to the website and fill this out. Now, if you're not in that criteria, we'll have to find another way to get you some money. But for those people who fall under that category, please take advantage of the opportunity that's available to you. Once again, let's get the name and number out there so we can get some people back there.
Awesome. Citizens Committee for New York City. Website is citizensnyc.org. Now, I'll also throw in my number in there, 212-822-9568.
All righty. Well, Fredo Florentino, thank you so much for coming
to
share with us.
I appreciate it.
All righty. Thanks much. All right. Well, we do have to take a quick break, but when we return, we're going to discuss how you can give back to the community during this Thanksgiving season. And if you're saying Thanksgiving, yes, it is November, and Thanksgiving is right around the corner. Stay with us. Come right back in a few.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy. Oh, and she even talks to it. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today, I'm just an aluminum can, but one day, I could be a stadium.
Adopting a new pet is a rewarding experience. And Shelter Pets makes Super Pets. Your new best friend will steal your heart, bring you happiness, and enrich your life for years to come. You can make a difference in the life of an animal. Adopt and bring home a Shelter Pet today. To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
I already knew that I was going to go to college, from a young age. I definitely want to major in political science. After that, I'm going to get my law degree. Then I'm going to come back to Detroit, boost the economy, become the mayor or something, try to make the situation better for other people. I feel like I owe it to the city. I'm determined. It's It's gonna happen. My name is Justin, and I am your dividend.
Every year, mothers lose their babies to gun crimes. You'll always be your mother's baby. So before you commit a gun crime, think about who you'll leave behind. Gun crimes hit home.
And there you saw some information on how you can join our open crew. So make sure you go to our website, and there you can find out more information, and then you can be a part of the family right here at Open. We're glad to have you as part of the viewing family right now, and I'm Darren Jaime. We want to thank you for watching. Well, Thanksgiving is a time for all of us to be grateful, and to be grateful for all of the blessings that life has, and to share that joy with family and friends and perhaps even people we don't know. But here to talk about how we can spread the love is Pastor Reggie Stutzman, and he's here with us. And Pastor Reggie, good to have you.
It's great to be back.
Yeah, I mean, we were saying it was the same time just about last year.
Yeah, I can't believe a whole year went by.
That's right, that's right. So this year you have a very special Thanksgiving celebration, and you include the community, and you partner them with your church. So let people know about the Thanksgiving celebration. I mean, as I'm saying this here, I'm like, my gosh, it's Thanksgiving already.
It's crazy. What happened to September and October?
Right.
Here we are. Well, Real Life Church, this is our 4th annual Thanksgiving. We're a fairly new church in the Hunts Point community, and we started this in 2010. We fed about over 500 people. Last year we fed over 850 people. So it's a good, bad thing. Obviously more people are in need. But we have it all day from 11 o'clock in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. And we use The Point Community Development Center on Garrison Avenue. And it's just a great day. We already have almost 100 volunteers that have registered through our website. And people are donating toiletry items like shampoo, soap, deodorant, etc., and then clothing. So we like to give people just a great day, a sit-down meal with all these volunteers. We do waiter style, no lines, no numbers, just come in and like family. And then have a great full turkey dinner, all the trimmings, and then we use one room for clothing. You could go shopping, get clothes for, everything's free, men's, women's, kids, whatever clothes we have coming in, and then another room for toiletries. And
to really be able to minister, to care to people. Is there a great need?
Huge. Hunts Point, notoriously, so many negatives, for a long time, prostitution, all that stuff. We all know about that. But there's something new happening in Hunts Point that's just so beautiful. New companies, new jobs are being started, a lot of technology. I even have an office in the Sunshine Suites, which is in the Banknote building, which is a business incubator. So there's a lot of wonderful things happening in Hunts Point, but still a lot of needs, a lot of families, a lot of single mothers, a lot of people in situations that they just don't know how to get out of. And so Real Life Church is there, has been there, but to really make a difference on the street. And Thanksgiving is just one of the ways throughout the years that we've been able to do that.
And so you ask the public to partner with you through donations and through really helping out. How can they do that?
Well, one thing is this year we're finding that we're in a lot more need of clothing this year than before. We have partnered with Dress for Success and other people, but already the inventory is pretty low. So any gently used clothes, men's, women's, and kids we'll take. And then toiletry items. We get all the food from the Bowery Mission downtown. We're able to feed about 900 people this year. But we like to supplement it with drinks as well. Soda, water, juice, desserts, pie, cake, and then clothing and toiletries. So we do a toy drive in December. So a lot going on in Real Life.
So from that right into the toy drive.
Yeah.
So people have the opportunity to also volunteer with you.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
We have just a few slots left, but they could do it through our website. It's reallifechurchnyc.com. So 2 L's, Real Life. And then click on the Thanksgiving icon on the bottom of the page, and that'll give you a volunteer registration form.
And then you can take part in that.
Yeah.
What's it been like? You've been out there for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen development? Have you seen, what's your take on that whole Hunts Point area?
It's coming up, and I tell you, in New York City, better look out for Hunts Point. I'm telling you, because so many wonderful people there. So many changes, and as a pastor, there's a lot of spiritual changes happening as well. Unity among the churches. In fact, last month we were able to shut the street down for an hour just to pray. We got a street permit, and it was just an incredible time. Over 300 people came just to pray for the Bronx and Hunts Point. So there are changes happening in the spiritual climate, if you will. And then a lot of, like I said earlier, a lot of things are happening development-wise, and things are happening. Good things are happening in the Bronx, and people need to hear about it.
And so we invite you, and I guess you want to invite people over to your church to find out more about it, right?
Yeah, you bet. We use the Hunts Point Rec Center. We don't have our own building yet, so but we're at the Rec Center, which is 765 Monida, every Sunday at 11. And we have, just go to the website, reallifechurchnyc.com. We have a midweek service, tons of outreaches in the community. I tell you, God is doing great things in the Bronx.
When you look around and you see some of the needs that are there, because I know pastors in church, they try to meet the needs of the community.
Yeah.
What do you find to be some of the most, high priority needs within your community in your area?
Well, I tell you, one thing that is really not talked about enough, from my personal opinion, is sex trafficking. The politicians and the community board, which I'm a community board member of Community Board 2 now, they've done an excellent job of closing down the different strip clubs and taking liquor licenses away and working hard with that. But there is a whole other undercurrent, this thing of trafficking that's going on in the Bronx and all over the city. That leaders, spiritual leaders, politicians don't talk enough about. And that's one thing that as I'm in the community more.
You're seeing more.
I'm seeing more. Seeing young girls on the corners. My wife and I are out in the middle of the night sometimes just driving around praying for Hunts Point and getting involved. It's there, and it hasn't gone away. In fact, with technology, unfortunately, prostitutes can get word through text to meet the John. There's a lot going on in this issue. We need a voice, especially for trafficking. And trafficking doesn't mean some girl being shipped in or things happening that way. Trafficking can actually be from one block to another, and they could live in that community. We have a lot of work to do in this issue, and so Real Life Churches, we want to see what we can do to be a part of that. We need to fix a lot of situations. So even with the new mayor, I hope that discussions about these issues like trafficking and so forth can be dealt with.
But Hunts Point, do you feel like it's getting the attention it deserves nowadays?
To some extent, but not like it should, because of the negative stigmas that have been in the community for so long. Like I say, so many good things are happening. It's time to talk about the good things, and Real Life Church is one of those good things happening.
How hard is it to get people to partner when you have that negative stereotype, that negative connotation of Hunts Point? Because obviously you tell people, hey, I've got a church.
Yeah.
They say, where? You say Hunts Point, they're like...
Yeah. But to our advantage, because people know there's so many needs, and they know where we're at, they're apt to give a little bit more. So, and we're always doing so much in the community. We want to do more. We have to do more. You know, we need our own building just to even do compassionate care like we want to do on a regular basis. So there's a lot that we as a church, we're growing. You know, this Sunday we had 50. A couple Sundays ago we had 98. So, you know, it's like, it's tough. But we're doing good things, and to God be all the glory.
All right. Well, Pastor Reggie Stutzman, thank you so much for coming to
Thank
share
you.
with you.
It was a pleasure.
Best wishes on your Thanksgiving
Yeah, happy
celebration.
Thanksgiving.
Good to have you again.
Yeah, thank
It's
you.
been a year. So quick, so
Crazy.
fast. All righty. Well, that's about all the time we have for this episode of Open. I want to tell you it's been a pleasure coming into your homes today. Of course, we want to thank our guests for joining us, but most of all, we want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in and staying with us throughout the course of the show. Now, if you missed any part of the show, you can catch the Recablecast tonight, 10 p.m. on Cablevision's Channel 67. If you don't have Cablevision, you're saying, well, I've got Verizon Fios. Well, we've got a channel for you. That's Channel 33. You can also watch us anytime on the World Wide Web. You can check us out at www.bronxnet.org. We encourage you to have a great week. Most of all, don't forget to keep your heart, your mind, and most of all, this channel wide open. Darren Jaime saying, take care and God bless.
Thank you.